It's 2 a.m. again, isn't it? You are scrolling through your phone, looking for something, anything that might explain why life feels so empty despite trying so hard. You've read the self-help books. You've tried the morning routines. You've set the goals. But still, there's this hollowness that follows you everywhere. This sense that everyone else knows something about living that you don't. Carl Jung understood your exact pain. Not because he was some enlightened guru who had it all figured out, but because he spent years in his own darkness, lost in the same questions that haunt you now. What he discovered wasn't a quick fix or a 10-step program. It was something far more valuable, the truth about why we suffer and what actually heals. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Jung wrote this after his own breakdown, when everything he thought he knew about life crumbled. Right now, you might be blaming your unhappiness on your circumstances, the job that doesn't fulfill you, the relationship that didn't work out, the childhood that left scars, the dreams that didn't materialize. And yes, these things matter. They hurt. They shape you. But Jung discovered something that changes everything. You're not condemned to be a prisoner of what happened to you. You have a power you haven't been using. Let me guess what your days feel like. You wake up already tired, going through motions that feel meaningless. Work feels like slow death. Relationships feel like performances. Even your pleasures feel empty. Momentary distractions from a deeper ache you can't name. You look at others and wonder how they do it. How do they seem so sure, so satisfied, so able to just live without questioning everything? Here's the first truth Jung would tell you. They're not. Most people are just better at hiding their emptiness than you are. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But what if you have no idea who that is? What if you've tried on so many masks, played so many roles, twisted yourself into so many shapes trying to find where you fit, that you've lost track of what's actually you? This isn't failure. This is the human condition. We're born into families and cultures that start shaping us before we have any say in it. By the time we're conscious enough to question, we're already wearing layers of conditioning so thick we mistake them for our skin. You've probably been looking for happiness in all the wrong places. Achievement. If I just accomplish this, then I'll feel worthy. Relationships. If someone just loves me enough, then I'll feel whole. Money. If I just have enough security, then I'll feel peace. Experiences. If I just travel enough, do enough, see enough, then I'll feel alive. But each time you grasp what you thought would save you, it turns to ash in your hands. The promotion doesn't fill the void. The relationship doesn't complete you. The money doesn't buy peace. The experiences don't bring lasting joy. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. This is why your life feels like a repetitive cycle, why you keep ending up in the same types of painful situations, why you sabotage yourself right when things start going well, why you can't seem to break patterns you hate. It's not because you're weak or broken or cursed. It's because 95% of your behavior is driven by unconscious patterns laid down before you were 7 years old. You're not living your life. You're replaying your programming. Here's what this means practically. That feeling of never being good enough, that's not reality. That's probably a parent's voice internalized so long ago you think it's yours. That fear of abandonment that makes you cling or run, that's not about your current relationship. That's about needs that weren't met when you were small. That inability to feel joy even when good things happen, that's not ingratitude. That's a nervous system that learned early that happiness is dangerous because it always gets taken away. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. This is one of Jung's most practical tools for transformation. Start paying attention to what triggers you in others. The arrogance that makes you angry, you have disowned confidence. The neediness that repulses you, you have rejected your own needs. The success that makes you bitter, you have abandoned your own ambitions. Your irritations are maps to your lost parts. But here's where it gets harder. The happiness you're seeking, it's not actually what you need. Jung discovered that the psyche doesn't seek happiness. It seeks wholeness. And wholeness includes darkness. It includes pain. It includes everything you've been trying to avoid. The depression you're fighting might be trying to slow you down so you can feel what you've been running from. The anxiety might be trying to show you where you're living out of alignment. The emptiness might be trying to create space for who you really are to emerge. Show me a sane man, and I will cure him for you. Jung's dark humor points to a truth. What we call sanity is often just successful adaptation to a sick society. You feel empty because you're trying to find meaning in a meaningless system. You feel lost because you're trying to navigate by maps drawn by equally lost people. You feel alone because authentic connection requires vulnerability that society punishes. Your struggles aren't signs of failure. They're signs of sensitivity to what's actually wrong. The real tragedy isn't that you're unhappy. It's that you've been taught to see unhappiness as failure. You've been conditioned to believe that if you just fixed yourself enough, achieved enough, healed enough, you'd reach some state of permanent happiness. But Jung knew better. He knew that life includes suffering, that growth requires discomfort. That meaning comes not from avoiding pain, but from transforming it. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. You've been looking outside for so long, for validation, for direction, for permission, for love, for meaning. But everything you're seeking outside exists inside, buried under layers of conditioning, trauma, and false beliefs. The journey inward isn't comfortable. It's not Instagram-worthy. It's messy, painful, and often lonely. But it's the only journey that leads anywhere real. Here's what Jung discovered that could save you years of searching. You don't find yourself. You create yourself. But not from nothing. You create yourself by integrating everything you've disowned, rejected, hidden. Your shadow, all the parts of you that you've deemed unacceptable, contains your missing vitality. Your wounds contain your wisdom. Your struggles contain your strength. But you have to stop trying to fix yourself and start trying to know yourself. I'd rather be whole than good. This single statement could revolutionize your life if you let it. You've been trying so hard to be good employee, good partner, good person. But goodness without wholeness is just performance. It's exhausting because it's not real. Wholeness means including your anger, your selfishness, your darkness. Not acting them out unconsciously, but owning them consciously. When you can say, yes, I have rage without being ruled by it, you're free. The practical path forward isn't what you think. It's not about adding more practices, more healing modalities, more self-improvement. It's about subtraction, subtracting the false, subtracting the conditioned, subtracting everything that isn't essentially you. But this requires facing what you've been avoiding, feeling what you've been numbing, knowing what you've been denying. Where wisdom reigns, there is no conflict between thinking and feeling. You've been taught to trust your head or trust your heart, but Jung knew this split is artificial. Your feelings have intelligence. They're telling you what matters. Your thoughts have feelings. They're shaped by emotions you're not conscious of. Integration means learning the language of both. When they're in conversation instead of conflict, you have guidance you can trust. Start with your symptoms. That depression isn't your enemy. It's a messenger. What is it trying to tell you? Maybe it's saying your life has become too small for your soul. That anxiety isn't a disorder. It's information. What is it pointing to? Maybe it's showing you where you're living someone else's life. That emptiness isn't a void to fill. It's space. What wants to emerge in that space? Maybe it's who you were before the world told you who to be. The meeting with oneself is, at first, the meeting with one's own shadow. The shadow isn't your bad parts, it's your rejected parts. This includes positive qualities. Maybe you rejected your power because it threatened others. Maybe you disowned your creativity because it wasn't practical. Maybe you buried your sensitivity because it wasn't safe. Your shadow contains treasures, not just troubles. But you have to be willing to look. Here's a simple practice. Notice what you judge in others. That's your shadow. Notice what you admire in others. That's also your shadow. Everything you see out there that triggers a strong reaction is showing you something in here that needs attention. This isn't about becoming those things. It's about owning that you contain those potentials. When you own your capacity for everything human, you're free from being unconsciously controlled by anything. In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. Your life might feel like chaos right now. Nothing making sense, everything falling apart, no clear direction. Jung would say, perfect. Chaos precedes new order. Confusion precedes clarity. Breakdown precedes breakthrough. The old structures of your life, the ones that weren't really yours, need to collapse for your authentic life to emerge. This isn't comfortable, but it's necessary. The meaning you're seeking isn't found, it's created. But not through positive thinking or manifesting or any of that spiritual bypassing. It's created through descent, through going down into your own depths, through facing what you've avoided, through integrating what you've split off, through becoming whole instead of good. This is the real work. Everything else is just rearranging furniture in a burning house. We cannot change anything until we accept it. This is the paradox that breaks most people. You want to change because you can't accept yourself as you are. But change only comes through acceptance, not approval, acceptance, not resignation, recognition. Seeing clearly what is, without judgment, creates the conditions for organic transformation. Fighting yourself keeps you stuck. Accepting yourself allows movement. Here's what I wish someone had told me when I was drowning in emptiness. The emptiness is sacred. It's not a problem to solve, but a space to honor. We live in a culture terrified of emptiness, always rushing to fill it with noise, stimulation, acquisition. But emptiness is where truth lives. It's where your authentic self waits. It's where real answers emerge, not the answers you think you want, but the ones you actually need. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. When you know your own capacity for everything, cruelty, kindness, deception, truth, you can't be naive about human nature, but you also can't be cynical. You develop what Jung called tragic wisdom, seeing clearly without losing compassion. This is different from the false positivity that pretends darkness doesn't exist, or the bitter negativity that sees only darkness. The relationships in your life will transform when you stop needing others to complete you and start seeing them as mirrors for your own growth. That difficult person isn't sent to torment you. They're reflecting something you need to see. That pattern of painful relationships isn't bad luck. It's showing you what you haven't healed. That loneliness isn't because you're unlovable. It's because you haven't yet loved the parts of yourself you've rejected. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. Jung wasn't being pessimistic. He was being honest. Growth hurts. Awareness hurts. Truth hurts. But unconscious pain just repeats. Conscious pain transforms. The difference between suffering and growth is consciousness. When you suffer unconsciously, nothing changes. When you suffer consciously, with awareness, with presence, with acceptance, everything changes. Your pain isn't meaningless. Your struggles aren't random. Your emptiness isn't a mistake. They're all serving something larger. Your individuation, your becoming, your transformation into who you really are. Not who you should be, not who others want you to be, but who you actually, authentically are. This isn't a destination. It's a process. A lifelong process of becoming more real. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But here's what Jung knew. Who you truly are includes everything. Your light and shadow. Your masculine and feminine. Your human and divine. Your individual and collective. Becoming who you are isn't about improvement. It's about integration. It's about gathering all the scattered parts of yourself and welcoming them home. The life that's waiting for you on the other side of this work isn't perfect. It's not constantly happy. It's not without pain, but it's real. It's yours. It's authentic. And living authentically, even with pain, is infinitely better than living falsely, even with comfort. Because authentic pain leads somewhere. False comfort leads nowhere, but more emptiness. Start where you are, with the emptiness, with the confusion, with the pain. Stop trying to fix it and start trying to understand it. What is it teaching you? Where is it guiding you? What truth is it revealing? Your symptoms are not your enemies. They're your guides. Your struggles are not your failures. They're your curriculum. Your pain is not your problem. It's your portal. Jung's promise isn't that you'll be happy. It's that you'll be real. Not that you'll have answers, but that you'll ask real questions. Not that you'll find peace, but that you'll find meaning. And meaning, real, earned, lived meaning, is worth more than all the happiness in the world. The journey from where you are to where you're meant to be isn't up or out. It's down and in, into your depths, into your darkness, into everything you've been avoiding. That's where your treasure lies. That's where your true self waits. That's where your real life begins. Not when you fix yourself, not when you finally get it right, not when you become worthy. Now, as you are, with all your flaws and struggles and confusion. Because who you are right now, lost, seeking, struggling, is not a problem to solve. It's a reality to honor. It's a beginning to embrace. It's the perfect starting point for becoming who you truly are. Jung walked this path. Millions have walked it. Now it's your turn. Not because you have to, because you can't not. Because something in you knows that staying where you are is no longer an option. Because your soul is calling you home to yourself. Answer the call. The journey inward begins with a single step. And that step is always the same. Turning toward what you've been turning away from. Facing what you've been avoiding. Feeling what you've been numbing. Knowing what you've been denying. Your real life is waiting. Not out there, in here, in you. It always has been.